Today, I want to demo Open Cluster Management Clusteradm CLI tool so you can use it to bootstrap your multi-cluster control plane that we call the hub cluster and register a managed cluster under its multi-cluster control plane control. So on my screen, I have two terminals. On the left side, I have a newly created kind cluster that I'm planning to use as the multi-cluster control plane. On the right side, I also have a newly created kind cluster that I'm planning to use to join that control plane. So to start off, we want the Clusteradm Init command. This will deploy the cluster manager operator, which contains the controllers such as registration, placement. It will then print out a command with a temporary token that other clusters can use to join this control plane hub cluster. Copy and pasting this command and give it the cluster name of cluster 1. This will initiate the join process to the hub cluster. So in Open Cluster Management, this cluster registration follows a double opt-in mechanism, which is the agent opts in to register a cluster with the hub by creating a managed cluster resource on the hub, which means the agent needs a queueconfig with appropriate permission to initiate the registration request. So the temporary token we just used forms the Bootstrap queueconfig. Then the agent controller will generate a more permanent hub queueconfig secret. When the hub receives the registration request, the admin user on the hub needs to approve the certificate signing request that's initiated by the managed cluster. So the managed cluster agent is authenticated to the hub. It also needs to set the managed cluster custom resource view hub except client to true, so the agent is authorized to call the hub. This authentication approval and authorization approval is what we call the double opt-in. So we can see on the hub cluster, the certificate signing request created, but it's in pending condition because we have not approved it yet. There's also a managed cluster resource created, but again, it's not joined or available yet. So we can use the Clusteradm tool once again to accept this registration process. So after we approve the registration on the hub by running the Clusteradm accept command, a namespace with the same name of the cluster will be created. This namespace can be regarded as a container of the resource that the agent in the managed cluster can access. By default, the agent on a cluster is only authorized to access a certain resource kinds in this namespace on the hub to ensure security isolation. So with these few commands, we were able to set up a hub cluster and have another cluster to be brought under its management. Now on the hub cluster side, we can list the API available. So with these Open Cluster Management APIs, such as the Managed Cluster add-ons to install additional multi-cluster aware add-ons, and then the Managed Cluster resource to give you the inventory of cluster under management, and the placement which decide where to place your workload to, and the manifest work is for delivering the workload. So with just these few commands, we were able to generate a hub cluster with these multi-cluster capability and bring one of the managed cluster under its control. And that wraps up a quick demo of Open Cluster Management using the Clusteradm binary to initiate the Bootstrap process.